Hi, Dr. Dirk. This is John Bias, and our house is going together quite quickly, so I've moved around so that you got a different view today. Today we're going to talk about our reading in chapters 12 through 14 in Speak Up. And in chapter 12, we started talking about the importance of language. So we talked about the power of that words have, both positive and negative words, and the power that they carry. We discussed the difference of oral and written language, the difference between a denotative and a connotative word. Denotative words are words that are being used in their direct, literal definition. The word is exactly what it is. And a connotative word might be like the word dog. If we use the dog in a sentence referring to, I went to the dog park, you would assume I took my dog with me. If I said, hey, I lost a lot of money on that stock last year, it was a real dog, you would, by the way I'm using it, you would not think of the dog, the animal, you would understand what I'm conveying. So that would be the difference of those two types of words. We also talked about how to express words. We want to, how do I say it? We want to make sure that we pronounce clearly and concisely when we're conveying our message. We want our language to be clear, and we want to express our ideas effectively. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It explained how we could use maybe a hypothetical example in a speech that was quite technical and complicated. We could use a hypothetical example. We could use personal anecdotes to give more credibility to ourselves with our audience. We learned how vivid language could grab the attention and how similarities and metaphors are used. It was important to avoid stereotypes. We want to avoid gender references. We want to kind of stay neutral when we're giving a speech. We don't want to get into ethnic groups, and we want to definitely steer clear of unnecessary references to gender or sexuality. We just want to steer away from that. That was pretty much what I got out of chapter 12. A lot of information. It's going to take me some more processing to really absorb it. It was just a lot. I'll leave it at that. And chapter 13, we discussed how to select the right mode of delivery for a speech. The difference between reading a manuscript or memorizing from a manuscript. We learned how to speak from an outline and how to do impromptu speaking. We learned about using vocal delivery, such skills as our volume, our tone. Also, we learned speech delivery, how to fit our speech into the right time frame. We don't want to try to speed up our speech real fast so we can compress more into a short time. It's better that we just remove some of the content, leave it relevant, and fit the time frame, so that way our speech comes through more effective and not so rushed. We don't want to do that. We need to articulate accurately and in a timely manner. It's helpful for us to learn how to pronunciate every word, every vowel, every syllable, every consonant. We want to be very clear when we're speaking. We want to get the right words across. We learn how to use pausing, not all the time, but at certain points in our speech, pausing can be helpful and beneficial. Making eye contact, very important. We can read our audience by making sure that we hone in on the faces, and if they look like they're drifting off when we're making eye contact with them, it's very important. We can move our speech, and we can actually do things to try to bring them back. We could say something catchy or try to just reel them back into the conversation. So in this part of the book, for me, I think that I could use the articulation tips that we learned to be more clear when I'm speaking. I think that I've watched some of my videos now on the links that I've sent you, and I can see how my articulation can use some improvement if I'm going to be more effective speaking in front of a church group or in Celebrate Recovery. We learned about hand gestures. That's one of the great things that you bring to my attention in my speeches, and I try to really focus on it. Our body language, our body movements, those are things that are very important that we learn how to do if we're going to give a effective speech. And then finally, in chapter 13, we talked about our personal appearances. It says that we need to be relevant in the speaking environment. We wouldn't want to come into a speech to lifeguards dressed in a tuxedo. They're not going to find how that's relative to them. They're going to be looking at us different, and we're going to definitely be out of place. And also, we wouldn't want to go into a boardroom on a fiscal year meeting and talk about, profit and loss, and walk in our flip-flops and our shorts. So we got to be very cognizant of where we are and who we're speaking to, and make sure that we present ourselves in the right atmosphere. So those are things that I learned in chapter 13. Chapter 14, we got to talk about presentation aids. And this is probably the chapter, Dr. Dirk, that meant more to me, because I do deal with, in my meetings, I use presentation aids. I have a projector that plugs into my laptop, and I refer to a PowerPoint presentation that I put together that week, and I can stop it, and I can go back and forth, and that tool, that presentation aid, to be able to do that helps my guys stay really focused and in tune. And I can say from experience, this same group of guys, 4 years ago when I took over my shop, they had been used to having a meeting where somebody would just get in front of them and repeat numbers and statistics. And like we learned last week, our audience can't just play our speech backwards. They can't go back to what we said, so it's hard for them to follow along. And once they lose their place, they're done. So I thought it would probably be better for me to put something up on a screen where I can control the tempo and the information, and we can cover it, and then we can review it, and then we can move on. And if someone has a question, I can put it back up and we can review it. So this particular part of the book, in presentation aids, really meant a lot to me, and I got a lot of good information out of it, and I'm going to try to apply some of the things that I've learned in it to my meetings on Tuesday mornings. I've used this book to do a lot of that, try to improve my presentation to my guys. I want to be a more effective leader, and I want to be more concise, and I want to be intentional with what I say and what time that they've given me to say it in. So chapter 14 was very meaningful in that aspect for me. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I'm going to go home and have dinner with my wife and try to put this whole week behind me, Pastor Dirk. It's been a tough one. I'll be honest with you. It's been hard for me to focus, and my presentations this week might not be what they have been the last couple of weeks. I've just had a lot on my mind, so I'm not using it as an excuse. I just want to let you know where I am this week. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off, Dr. Dirk, and I will see you next week. Have a blessed evening.